Hey everyone, I want to let you know that last week I made a pretty big mistake when I was recording my video for Unfolding Destiny. Turns out my mic cut out 5 minutes in because I didn't charge it. Anyway, I'm course correcting this week. I've reshot that same video. I've made it shorter so it's easier to digest. I've got a clearer message behind it. And I want to welcome you to this channel, by the way. So my name is Namir Qureshi, and Unfolding Destiny is where we teach you how to build your life within the context of your true identity. This week, I am going to be shooting 2 videos. This is number 1 of 2. For Unfolding Destiny, at least, there's only be 2 videos. Because I want to make up for last week's blunder, and I want to keep on a schedule of like 1 video per week on average. So today, I'm going to talk about how you can go after all your big goals without getting emotionally upset along the way. So this is huge, especially if you're going after something that you believe in, that you really want, that you really desire. You might notice that sometimes things don't happen as quickly as you'd want them to. You might meet a certain person and the chemistry is there, the connection is there, there is synergy. You feel like you can work with this person and create something incredible. But the fact is, you might not be ready for that person yet. You might not be ready for that connection yet. I want to give you the example of my good friend Tommy Leonard. I met Tommy years ago at Best Buy. We worked there together for a number of years in different departments. But every time I communicated with him, we always had a great bond, great energy, great synergy. But it was never the right time to actually explore something together. And we always talked about how we could hang outside of work, or a couple of years ago he hit me up and said maybe we should do a podcast together, and I agreed. And we've always been amicable and just friendly and cordial, but it was never the right time to actually do something with him until last week when he hit me up a few days prior, and we actually recorded a video together on Facebook Live. He came to my house, we did some workouts, and it was fun. And now we're gonna plan on hanging out some more. Now, why is it that, even though I've known this guy for a number of years, why is it that last week was the first time we ever hung outside of work? And so what I wanna share with you is the fact that the people that you meet along the way, some of them might not be ready. You might have this incredible connection with them. I mean, they could become a business partner. They might become someone that you marry, or date. They might become someone that you train with and work out with. They might be a martial arts instructor. It could be a lawyer that you hire someday. The thing is that certain people come into your life for a certain reason. And I don't want to say that they cause you to become a certain way. I just mean that people and the environment, the world responds to who you are currently in that moment. And when you only are, how do I say this? You can only act upon that which you're ready for. So I want to give you some better framing and better perspective behind this. So in the case of Tommy Leonard, I wasn't yet ready years ago to act upon that friendship. Last week, things kind of changed. But what was the catalyst behind that change? Well, the fact is that it's been a number of years that I've been creating my own lifestyle, that I've been mapping out my vision of what I want for myself in the future. And in order to do that, I actually had to eliminate a ton of distractions. I had to kind of go my own way and really figure myself out. And in that case, what I mean by figuring myself out is not that I'm just meditating all day long. No, it means I'm trying different things. I'm going after different experiences. I'm playing that whole story of Goldilocks. This bed is too hard. This bed is too soft. Oh, this bed here is just right. And by going through a bunch of different experiences, changing my major a couple of times, trying out different diets to find the right one for me, trying out different martial arts schools throughout my life until I found the one that was right for me. Eventually, I found the things that I did want, but even then, the biggest challenge was trying to figure out a way to integrate them into this bigger picture of my life. And what I realized was that I need to act from a future potential. I need to know what it is that I want in the future. And I need to look far ahead, and from that perspective, I gotta build my life in such a way that the things that I want now integrate into that future self. And do they make the boat go faster, or do they slow me down? And if you know what you want out of yourself from your future potential, it makes it easier for you to make decisions in the present that are more helpful for your growth. So what would have happened if for the past few years, instead of going after what I really wanted, I just went after the things that society told me I should want? What if I also just hung out with a lot of people, I partied, and I just kind of did my own thing, and I was always out and about? And what if I hung out with Tommy a bunch of times for a number of years? What if I just kind of lounged around and did nothing, really just kind of played off of the instant gratification game? Well, then my life would have been a disaster because I would not have been able to pursue my potential. See, what I want you to do is just to realize that you need to be calm, you need to be present, you need to be collected, you need to be patient, because you cannot push and you cannot rush life. You cannot force things to happen. Certain things that you might want, you're not ready for yet. You're not ready to probably date that girl or that guy that you like. You're not ready to pursue that major that you want to get into. You're not ready to get hired by that job just quite yet. If certain things in your life have not been resolved, if you haven't fully figured out what it is that you want out of your life. So what I would recommend is, listen, the best that you can, pull out a journal, pull out a piece of paper, right? Get a pen and just map out the future that you want. Even if you don't fully know what it is that you want. I mean, it took me a number of years to really figure out what I wanted, but along the way, I didn't add extra to my plate. I didn't try to find ways to distract myself from that question. I mean, if it takes you a few years to figure out your life, to figure out what you want, then you know what? Those few years will help pay off dividends in the future, because then you'll know what you want, and then you'll be able to sculpt your life accordingly. And then suddenly you'll know when a certain person like Tommy Leonard can fit within that greater picture. Then you'll know that how your fitness also enhances that vision, how certain majors in school might enhance that vision. So I'm not saying to sequester yourself off from all of these experiences. What I am saying is put your future potential first. Figure that out, and then realize that as you meet certain people along the way, you might not yet be ready for them. So in the case of Tommy Leonard, all right, there's that. But what if there's like a guy that you like, that you feel like you have an incredible connection with, or a girl? What if this person is someone that you could potentially see yourself marrying someday? That's incredible. But you know what? I understand the whole adage of like, oh, if someone really likes you, if someone really believes in you, then they should be there for you from day one. But the fact is, people are also living their own lives. They also have their own journeys to explore. And while you're figuring yourself out, while you're exploring your own journey, you also don't want to hold someone else back from living their own life. You kind of have to sit with yourself and just kind of realize that life is happening. And sometimes when you think you want something, you start pursuing it. When you become so attached to that one thing that you want, that you become blinded to the course corrections that you need to make along the way, that also stymies your growth. Certain people that you meet along the way, they're only there for a moment to teach you a lesson. Don't be fixated on that person. Don't be fixated on that one goal. Constantly examine yourself. Play that Goldilocks game. So for instance, when I started out at Temple University, I started out as a film major, and I had to go through that experience to realize maybe this isn't what I ultimately want. I was able to take what I learned from that experience and apply it to other things. I mean, look at this now. I'm shooting videos and I'm talking to you, and I learned a couple things in school, right? And so my thing is that the things that you learn in life, you cannot unlearn. Everything that you do plays into the greater fabric of what you intend to become someday. But you cannot rush through the process. After going through film, I then became a psych major, and that was incredible. It was a great decision that I made. And you can kind of tell I kind of stuck with psychology. I love psychology. And so my thing is that when you set out to achieve a goal, the worst thing you can do is become fixated on it and try to rush through the process. If someone doesn't return your phone calls or respond to your text messages, cool, don't be negative about it. Just realize, look, right now it might just not be the right time. And your gut kind of knows things better than what your mind does. And sometimes your gut's leading you in the right direction. Sometimes your gut is taking you away from a bad situation, because there are parts of yourself that ultimately know what you want. And it's up to you to figure that out, right? So I'll give you an example. What if you dreamt of becoming an NBA star as you were growing up, but you met with obstacle after obstacle, but in your heart of hearts, you really knew that it wasn't the NBA that you wanted, but you wanted to become a coach in the NBA, but you didn't know how you can even get there. Maybe part of you thought that in order to even become recognized as a coach, you probably have to become a player first, and so that you went through that process. And so it's not something that you could have figured out without having gone through that process. You could not have known that you wanted to become a coach. Even if part of you knew it, you had to come to that realization through experience and exposure. So I want to let you know that as you go through life, there's certain people that you might meet, but based on your current understanding of the world, that person might not be the right fit based on what you currently perceive. That person might play a bigger role in your future, though, when you finally come to the realization of what it is that you want. And one of the best ways to do that is to journal constantly, journal effectively, meditate, visualize, and course correct. Feel out the experience. You write down a goal, then you go and pursue it and see what that goal teaches you. Sometimes you need to learn just a specific lesson from that goal, and then that's it. You don't need to go through the entire course. That's my thing. My concern with academia is that you have to go through a lot of the coursework, and then if you quit, then you're considered a failure. But in life, that's not how life works. You set out an intention. You go after the thing that you think you want. And ultimately, what ends up happening is that what you thought you want isn't really what you ultimately wanted, but it was a step towards you getting what you really do want, what your soul wants. And you kind of have to live life through that experience. So don't worry, don't be depressed, don't be bent out of shape if things aren't happening as quickly as you want them to. Become clear about what it is that you do want. Hustle, work hard, grind, and I promise you, as you start to work towards that, then you're going to meet the right people along the way that do align. And even then, they might not be able to synergize with you that quickly. They might not be able to start working with you that quickly, that instantaneously, because that type of work, it does take time. But I promise you, as you become more clear about who you are, as you start to share yourself publicly with the world, then you're going to start to meet the right connections and the right people. Now, one thing would be, counter argument would be, well, Namir, can't you kind of just do your thing, but also have other experiences as well along the way? You can, but does this make the boat go faster? Meaning, all right, can you start a company but also party on the side? Can you start a company and just start playing the field and start dating a bunch of guys and girls? All right, well, that seems like it's fun, but then there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. There's a lot of distraction, and there's a lot of headache and heartache along the way, and then people want your time, and then that takes you away from your own purpose. You want to live your life in such a way that's very much zen, that as you're focused on your purpose, your potential, the thing that you ultimately want, you give that your all and minimize the distractions along the way. Go to bed earlier, wake up earlier, get rid of the Netflix, get rid of all the junk food, put yourself in a situation where you're not having to worry about your health. Don't quit your job right away, because if that's paying the bills and you're making money, then what that means is you're not as concerned about employment, so that you can focus on your bigger dreams. My whole thing is get your basic needs met. Safety, security, shelter, food, water, air, oxygen, and have some friends in your life, yeah. Have some people that you can discuss your feelings with, and people who can kind of hold you accountable. Have mentors along the way. I'm not saying to completely become a monk and forego every human experience possible, but what I am saying is that as you focus with laser-like focus and intention on your big goal, that ends up being what preoccupies most of your mind anyway. And in that case, it's okay if all those other experiences kind of fall to the wayside. Now, what I'm not saying, so don't twist my words, is I'm not saying that you should just eat bad food and just kind of just neglect yourself. No. Be self-disciplined, become the best version of yourself, do things that make you operate at peak performance. So if working out makes you perform better in other areas of your life, then work out, diet, eat right. What I'm saying is get rid of the things that distract you, that get you addicted, that make you lazy. Get rid of those people, get rid of toxic relationships. Just realize that as you put good energy out there, people will synergize with it. Just don't worry about when that synergy will manifest into some sort of a connection where you can cooperate and work together. Give that time. And I promise you that as long as you give it time, as long as you're present, you're operating from a sense of abundance and love, then everything else kind of takes care of itself. You will find that as long as you don't try to rush through the process, you're going to be happier, you're going to be more fulfilled. And that's really what it comes down to. So be present, be focused, be happy. Don't attach yourself to a specific outcome. Just cast a goal, start pursuing it, see what that goal teaches you, and then along the way, you're writing your goals out as well. You start to realize certain things may not really align with you as much as you thought they did. Great. Course correct. When I was creating Mixotype, it was one thing years ago, then it transformed and it became this bigger thing years later. And I've got this incredible team now along the way. And I've got this incredible team consisting of people that I met along the way. But some of those people, they weren't ready to join the team until they had to go through their own journeys. It wasn't that, for instance, I'll give you an example. With Alex Weber, one of my co-founders, I met him on a basketball court in Boston, but he was still going through his master's thesis in architecture. He wasn't able to join Mixotype until like 6 or 7 months later. But like we had this incredible connection from the get-go. And when I met him, I felt as though he was going to play a role in the greater picture of my life. So there's something interesting that does happen when you meet certain people before you've actually achieved your goal. Somehow I think there's a part of yourself that knows what you ultimately want, even though you're not conscious of it. And I think certain people that you meet in your life, they resonate with that message. They might not know it yet. You might not know why you met, but there's a certain reason behind your meeting. It's a meeting of minds, so to speak. And you don't want to rush through that process. Live your life. And just let the questions that you don't have answers to eventually reveal, let destiny or fate reveal the answers to you as you live into them. You can't rush the process at all. It's something that it's beautiful because you grow into becoming the best version of yourself along the way. And so what I want you to know is this, don't worry. There's this like a metaphor out there. There's a story about the bamboo tree where as you plant it, the first 6 or 7 years, there's no signs of growth, right? And you keep watering it, and there's nothing until 7 years later, one day a little leaf pops out, and then that tree grows a matter of feet within a couple of days. Now, I love that metaphor. My only criticism behind that metaphor is that, you know, it makes you think that you're not going to see success at some level right away. And you're not, but that doesn't mean that you're going to that there aren't any signs that you see along the way. So what I mean is that bamboo tree, even though you don't see any leaves sprouting, you might notice that the soil is a little softer in some areas, a little harder in some areas. You might notice some bugs starting to congregate around that area. So there's still signs of life. And you just got to be perceptive to those. So as you go through your journey, when things are not happening as quickly as you'd like them to happen, don't get bent out of shape. Start focusing on the micro details. Start noticing the little things. Start noticing your mood and start noticing the minor successes, because those little things are there for they're signs that show you that, look, you might not see the big cataclysmic, seismic thing that you want. Maybe cataclysmic is the wrong word. That sounds kind of negative, but you might not see that big thing that you want, but you see these little things along the way. And do you appreciate those successes? Do they make you feel good? Because if they do, then maybe you are on the right course. Maybe you are on the right track. So whatever you're going through, I just want you to know that you don't have to view this from a state of victimhood. What if you rush through the process and you finally get this girl to go out on a date with you, or you get this guy to start a business venture with you, like a side hustle or something? What if you get there? What if you get a certain guy that you've been trying to go out with to finally go out with you, but you aren't ready yet? So the second you get into that relationship, now you're fully distracted, because what you really want is to focus on your dream. And now you're working so hard on your dream, but this person that you've invited into your life, they also want your attention. They're almost taking away from that path. So you really want to respect the people along the way, be happy, be loving. Don't exile anyone from your life. Just realize that certain things are there, and just be appreciative of the energy. One last thing is, what about the people who didn't support you? What about the people who called you a loser, who didn't believe in you, who said that you're wasting your time, you're wasting your intelligence, wasting your potential? You know, all right, certain people are not going to be there to support you along the way. And then later on in the future, they might be the very people who want to have some of your attention. I wouldn't say treat them with negativity, but also don't hold them in your regard. But who knows, in the future, you might be able to spin off a partnership with them, and that person that neglected you might end up becoming an incredible asset to you because they have more to prove. So there's many ways to kind of look at the situation, is realize that certain things you're just not ready for right this moment. Put yourself, your identity, your dream first and build from that. And if you're unclear about it, don't add more to your plate, because that's only going to make the picture that much more hazy. All right, so if you love this video, please hit the like button, comment, share, hit the notification bell, and join my YouTube channel. I post this stuff regularly. This week, I'm going to post a second video just to make up for the fact that I wasn't able to post this last week. All right, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Over and out. Take care.